All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. We are a silver partner of the Tierrasanta Village, and we've been very happy to sponsor you all, and we signed up for another year. So thank you for having us again. We're we're the Senior Advisory Council, and it started way back in about 2010. Our founding member, Amos, got people together to help Amos Johnson. He's retired now, but he got a group of people in different specialties to help seniors navigate the world of senior living, so of which I am now a part. So I'm glad I have a lot of these resources. But it started about 2010. We met once a week, once a month in person, and built a referral network of like-minded the way we do business, and relationship building is very important to us. So we have a few people who have left us, and we have some new people on today, so we're really excited. So it's fun for us as well. You do have a packet, and we have everybody's information except our newest member, Jonathan, that probably couldn't find it either where we were, but he has some more information at the end if you wanted to pick up some of his brochures. We also have, you got a, what's this called? It is We Value Your Feedback, which we do, and it checks off different areas. If you might want to have us follow up, please be real clear when you write your emails or that kind of thing. We will not market you. We're not trying to sell anything, but if there is something that you want to know further about, we'd be happy to follow up of the person in that expertise. So we have about 8 to 12 expertise resources for you. However, there is another trick to this one. We'd like you to fill it out so that when you hand it in at the end, we will have a raffle. And this is your raffle entrance ticket. So please fill it out, and you might be a winner. I never am, but some people are. So that's real important for us as well. So what I'd like to do is to start off is to have everybody, all of our panelists, give about 3 minutes to give an idea of who we are, what we do, where we came from, and why we're here. So I'll start. My name is Michelle Burkhart, and I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I came out via living in Germany for 10 years in my 20s, and I came out to California because I always wanted to come to California. And my father said, well, you can't go to California because how would you get home for Christmas? I said, oh, I get home. Don't worry about it. And so I came out here. I've lived out here since '78. I was in business. I had several businesses, bought and sold. I worked for a big company from back east, and then I started working with businesses to help them grow their business. So as a business advisor. So I spent about 20 years in that field, and two of my clients said, you should check out being a fiduciary. And I said, like everybody does to me, what's a fiduciary? And so I went to Cal State Fullerton and learned about the fiduciary with trust administration and conservatorships, and those are the 2 main tracks of fiduciary. And I've been a fiduciary now since 2017. We have to be licensed. We have to take 2 license tests, a national license test and a California test, and we are overseen by the Department of Consumer Affairs. So we're here to help you, and we work for all of you. So how many people know what a fiduciary is? Oh, good, thank you. Okay. Fiduciary is kind of an intermediate person that works for your best interest, maybe in bill paying, trust administration, helping you navigate the end-of-life issues and bringing in resources. But usually I chose the trust administration aspect and do more the financial end. So that's basically what a fiduciary handles. So I've been that since 2017, and I'm very happy to be here, and I will turn it over to Kim Phillips.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. My name is Kim Phillips. I was having a conversation about how I got into working for the cemetery and funeral industry. I actually did advertising for radio for about 20 years. And then my mother fell ill. And at that time, they told her she only had a couple years to live, and we needed to get everything organized. So she didn't have a trust, banking, all of that, even though she owned a home. So she told me to go up and pre-plan for her. So I did. It was my first look at the situation. And then, shortly thereafter, I had lost my mom, and it was the biggest deal to me in my life. And a lot of times when you lose a loved one, whether it be a spouse or a parent, it can be life altering. And for me, it was. And so I decided I was going to change my direction and That's how I ended up in this industry. I actually work for DD. We have 14 funeral homes and 3 cemeteries in this market. Nobody ever wants to talk to me, but that's okay. If you have any questions, I'm used to it. I'm thick-skinned, so that's what I'm here for. I do like to give information to people who are looking for it. So I appreciate you guys having us here.
Hello, my name is Aaron Laney. I'm with Aaron Home Care. We provide caregivers in the community. Is that good?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I got into the field when I was in college. It was over 25 years ago now. I was studying science and I went to a summer camp working for people with disabilities. And it was then that I realized I just had a passion and a calling for it. I continued to volunteer and then was offered a job after college managing homes for people with disabilities. Then I was worked in DC. I was raised in Virginia. So I worked in DC doing advocacy and monitoring for people for abuse and neglect in the community, which was very difficult and was really about the time I decided let me open my own and just work with the best human services practices that I have. And I really enjoy the education, the training of the caregivers, working with the caregivers and being in the home. So
Hi, my name is Pam Laney, and I'm also with Aaron Home Care. We are partners in
Can you
life.
hear her? Okay, good.
Okay. Maybe I'm also with Aaron Home Care. I am partners with Aaron in life and also in business. So we work together at the agency. I fell into home care because of Aaron. I was a teacher before this. And I just wanted to say that Tierrasanta personally will always feel like home to us because we lived here for 7 years. Our son graduated from Vista Grande Elementary, De Portola Middle School, and he was the last graduating class at Sarah High School before. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we love it here. We've had lots of clients here, and we service from La Jolla to El Cajon down to Chula Vista. We moved to Chula Vista to be closer to my parents, but we love what we do. And we're very passionate about outreach to the community and educating everybody on what that looks like.
I'm Sandy Bredesen, or you can call me Sandra. I don't care. Either one is perfectly acceptable. I'm with Bankers Life. Bankers Life does your Medicare, long-term care. We have a plan that doesn't pull medical records, which is really nice. We also do life insurance and some retirement planning as well. So my big passion is the long-term care insurance. If you have a long-term care plan, usually I sit down and review it with you. Most people bought it long time ago and don't really remember what it was. Happy to sit down and just do a review for you. That's what I do for a lot of people in the community.
Hi, I'm Rick Goodman. Can you hear me? There we go. That's better.
Got to talk into the mic.
Yeah,
Got it.
in the
Like that.
Just put it inside my mouth. I'm Rick Goodman, and this is my partner, Kim. We are realtors, and we've started a company called Housing Advocates for Retired People. And we often get asked questions as far as, how do we get involved in helping with seniors? Well, back in the late 80s, early 90s, I worked for a gentleman named Robert Allen. And Robert Allen was a real estate investor who wrote several books on real estate investing. And I was part of his team. We traveled around the country teaching real estate investing. And I would actually go out in the field and help investors write offers and things like that. Well, back in, let's go a little forward. In about 9 years ago, I got my real estate license 31 years ago, but 9 years ago, there was a local company here in San Diego that had started doing some real estate investing. They were teaching investors, and they had heard that I worked for Robert Allen. And they offered me a deal to leave my real estate company and come work for them, teaching their students how to invest in real estate. Well, one of their models was to send out mailers out to seniors, targeting seniors, and basically taking advantage of them. And needless to say, I worked there only 6 months. I got pissed off that they were targeting seniors, and I started HARP, which is Housing Advocates for Retired People, advocating for seniors and actually going against these investors. So that's kind of how we got involved in what we're doing now.
Apologies, I'm wearing sunglasses because I had my eyes dilated. So anyway, yes, and we also watched a lot of our neighbors that are elderly in our neighborhood where they were getting these letters that had checks in it, and they would come to us and say, wow, you know, they'll buy our house for this. And we just try as much as we can to educate people. You need to have different opinions. Don't go with just like somebody sends you something, says it's easy, you don't have to show it, and on and on. I guarantee you, you are going to make more money when you have a professional looking out for you. And it's a lot, for a lot of you, it's your last resource of value and you need every dollar out of it. And that's exactly what we do. We make sure that you're taken care of and not taken advantage of.
Hi, everyone. My name is John Schwartz, and I'm with Partner in Aging. My background for the past 20 years, I've lived and worked here in San Diego in the field of aging. When I was in college, my grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. My grandparents had all the money in the world. We had family in the area, a week or a couple times a month. And I would see how hard this disease was, not just on my grandfather, but my grandmother, who was the primary caregiver, and our entire family. And we had everything. We had money, as I mentioned, we had family, and this was still so hard for us. And I couldn't help but think, if we're struggling through this, what is everyone else going to do? And that's what motivated me to want to work in this field. I worked in home care agencies and retirement communities. I've counseled with families over the years. I just recently told someone, I feel as though I'm going to be proven wrong eventually, but I've seen and heard about everything. One piece of what we do, we help people find the right assisted living community. I know many of you wish to age at home, and this wonderful council of resources is something I'm very proud of that could certainly help support that. One other initiative that we're carrying out is, I'm just at a show of hands, how many of you have been hospitalized or know someone that's been hospitalized in the last year? And so you don't have to answer, but think about that experience. Was it positive or less than? One thing that I've certainly seen over the last several months and years is the quality of care in the hospital is becoming more and more compromised, unfortunately. So one new initiative we're launching is called a hospital advocacy program, which many of the Tierrasanta Village members are members of today. For just $10 a month, you could enroll in our hospital program. And if you get hospitalized, we will come and advocate for you, because that's what people really need, is to have an advocate. Think about, don't answer this, but think about, if there was an emergency, who would be there to support you? And if you don't have a clear answer, I would absolutely be honored to be that person. So thank you for having me. I'm just so proud to be here.
Okay, so now you have a sense of who we are. We call ourselves the experts in our particular fields. And so our seminars, our presentations are like Ask the Experts. So now we turn it over to you, because we want to have that interchange. We have a microphone, so if you have a question, please ask us, or you want to know a little bit more about any particular area that we just introduced to you. Don't hesitate. Okay. Who has the
Does anyone
first?
have a question yet? Yeah.
And don't be shy. This is a conversation. Yeah.
I'm Jay Keys. Question I have is, we have a will that has a lot of our resources listed in it, a trust rather, has all the resources in it. But when we come across a new resource, how do you get that resource into the trust that you've had for 15 years?
What
Is
do
it-
you mean by, you mean another asset?
Yeah, another asset, just so when we die, it doesn't go to probate.
Okay, well, I'm not an attorney. We have an attorney, but he wasn't able to make it. But I do know that I've come across that as a fiduciary. And normally what happens is you're just updating that list of assets. So you would go to the attorney that did that, and they can update the list that you want to have in the trust. Usually it's a schedule. I've seen it as a schedule of different thing depending on what it is. Yeah.
You talk about having trust
Yeah, we got a trust.
Where the new assets funded in the trust. The documents in your trust that you've taken, like for your home and other things, have that asset recorded in your trust. You have to do that. If I'm lost track of how to do that, just call the person who wrote your trust. And
Yeah.
they'll tell you where it is.
Yeah.
It depends on what the asset is.
So if you open up a new bank account,
Yes.
you know, you didn't have one 20 years ago when you put together this trust.
Mhm.
Now you have a new bank account
Mhm.
with so much money in it, you don't want it to go to probate. So is a way to go ahead.
Did that, and what you do is you have to take your trust to the bank
To the bank.
and they will open up, sorry, for the Zoom, I will say, okay, so you take your trust to the bank and you open up a new account that's has in the name of the trust, and then you can put whatever money you want.
Doesn't have to be that complicated.
Right.
The bank beneficiary supersedes probate and the trust. All you have to do is name a beneficiary at the bank. And the bank will recognize that before anybody else gets their hands on it. Name the
Well,
trust as a beneficiary.
So,
No.
You have your estate planner, Jay,
yeah.
Better go back to your attorney.
but we'll have their
Well,
estate planner.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I actually had the same challenge with my mom. So, you know, I hear what you're saying, right? We all have beneficiaries on our 401ks or different accounts. However, what I learned is that you don't have access to that if she had become incapacitated. I would not have had access to her money unless it was in the trust where I was already listed. So that was, and I had learned that kind of the hard way. I didn't realize I had to be listed in her trust in order for me to have access to it while she was alive and well in order for me to help her. So that was interesting. So that's why they're recommending, or someone saying that it's best to have it in the trust. You always have access to it if your loved one becomes incapacitated.
Two of the trust.
But know that if you want your bank account in the trust, the bank has to recognize the trust as the owner of the account.
Correct.
Not you personally.
Yes.
They have to
You would be the trustees of the trust, and then the bank would be at it. It really depends on the asset. If you're talking about real estate, it has to be recorded. So there's different things. There are several law schools around that do also pro bono questions. Western Law School did, where you have a minimal question like that. But something like that is there's a San Diego probate attorneys, and they also have support for people with just minimal questions.
And also, most people don't realize that laws change. So you should have your trust reviewed about every 5 years.
Yes.
So if it's been longer than that,
Yeah.
we can give you some resources, or if you have other resources here, just have it reviewed by an attorney.
Mhm.
And usually, since it's not a full trust, it's usually lesser expensive, but you know, you can check with the attorney on that.
And I know we don't want to get in the weeds on this, but if you've inherited if you have a trust, can you put that trust in a family trust?
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually what happens is
So,
That is going into the weeds, but I
Yeah,
would sit down
yeah,
with an
I've never
attorney on
heard
that.
usually what happens is you, like she was saying, is you just amend your trust, and usually you want to have it taken a look at least every 5 years. Then they can amend it and make any changes. You may change the trustee, the successor trustee, there's other additional aspects to your trust, your medical power of attorney, that can change, but it's worth the money to have it done with someone who knows how it needs to be done legally, so that there's no questions later on or challenges for you. Yeah. Anybody else have some other questions? Hello, how you doing?
I just want to say that when I had my trust made up with an attorney, I asked to have a fiduciary, and they named some. They named 2 people, and I never saw them, never met them, and I don't know who they are. And And I'm thinking, well, aren't they supposed to know where my stuff is? How to, it's my money. They're going to take their good old time to learn, well, this is page one. So I got Michelle to be my fiduciary, and she's been to my house twice, and I feel good about her. She's a nice person, and she lives in Tierrasanta. Yes. And she's going to take care of my trust. I have no worries. I haven't seen Dolores. She's been up traveling. Well, the interesting thing is that a fiduciary, most people think, comes in if you're incapacitated, which most people don't think about incapacitation, they think about death. But it's very important to think about incapacitation and who's going to take care of those day-to-day things for you. And that's what some of what fiduciaries can do. So the other end, how I run and how I've realized in getting into the field is that there's a lot of upfront work and administrative work to get people like Dolores or my other client I went up to in Vista yesterday to get everything organized so that, yes, I know where it is when I come in, or if something happens to me, the next person knows where it is. So that's some upfront minimal fees that you might have. I do charge an administrative fee to start the administration of a trust, but I also work with the person doing that, and a lot of times they do a lot of the work and organize, and I just make sure it's all in order. So I have my book and they have their book. But I think one thing that people don't consider enough is incapacitation and what that would mean to either the spouse or the caregiver that's taking care of you and who coordinates all of that. So that's just a couple of little tidbits.
Can you explain to me the difference of the fiduciary versus the trustee?
Okay, the fiduciary is an expertise that we can do several things. We can be named a successor trustee, like you're the trustee of your trust, and then you usually name, I suggest 2 or 3 people as successor trustees. But normally, most people, maybe they will do their friends or they will, relatives. A fiduciary is a very independent, objective person that really works for you. They have no beneficiary needs. They have no self-interest or whatever, except being paid, I guess. But the fiduciary is a whole field that we can do trust administration. We do trust accounting. We could become the executor. We can be an agent of a power of attorney to help you with bills while you're living and you don't want to do it, but don't have to be a trustee or a successor trustee. We can have money management. I help a lot of my clients find a good money manager for them, and then I oversee getting their information to that advisor. So there's a lot of capacities for a fiduciary. Some fiduciaries handle conservatorships and special needs trust. I only work with the trust administration and the financial end of things, but they usually coordinate. Even if they're not your trustee or you can hire them to help coordinate and make sure that there's somebody helping you watch what's happening and suggestions. It's separate from the medical power of attorney. There's usually 2 separate types of deal. The medical power of attorney comes in when you are incapacitated, usually by the advice of 2 doctors that you are incapacitated, and your medical power of attorney then can make decisions for you in the hospital. But the fiduciary is not necessarily your medical power of attorney. Does that answer your question? Kind of.
So.
Did I talk too fast?
I was gonna ask really quick. Now, do you find that you ever get in the situation where there might be family conflict?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you could be at that point where you step in and you're basically hired to make sure that, the children aren't, messing around with it and that you square it away per their wishes.
If I were named, say I named your trustee and you are successor trustee and you're incapacitated, then I would come in and work on your behalf to execute your daily bill paying, or you're overseeing the medical people that are helping the medical power of attorney, kind of coordinating that. The beneficiaries are the ones that receive the benefits of the trust. But normally when you have a trustee, they're the last word. The beneficiaries aren't the last word. The trustee is the one who executes what your trust says. And everything in that trust that an attorney will put together tells the fiduciary what they can and cannot do. So I can't do anything that the trust does not allow me to do. So that's kind of like your checks and balances there. If there is family conflict, I have been a mediator for 28 years. I'm a credentialed mediator. I have done mediations with family caregiving issues or family. In fact, I'm doing one in August of a woman who wants to give certain of her estate, and her daughter is having an issue with it. Her son's having an issue with it. It's causing personal problems with them, as well as how does she divide up her trust and what do they come to an agreement. So there's a couple of issues there, which there usually is in a family dynamic. But when you have somebody who's a beneficiary, they cannot override what the trustee has to do on your behalf. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
I was going to go to a different area.
Oh, yeah, by all means. We have all these areas up here.
I mean, I have lots of questions. I actually would like to know a little bit more about the hospital advocacy.
Advocacy.
Because if there's an emergency and you or your loved one is at the hospital, how would you know to come and advocate for us?
Yeah, really, really good question. Is this working? So again, the reason why I'll answer again, the reason why we created this is no doubt I've been noticing at the hospital, there just seems to be a shortage of doctors, a shortage of nurses, of case managers to properly provide great care for someone that gets hospitalized. How will we know if a member gets hospitalized? We are not their power of attorney from a health standpoint, nor from a finance standpoint. We are a patient advocate. So more often than not, either a spouse, a family member, or the healthcare power of attorney gets alerted that a member gets hospitalized. We are then the next phone call. And so we have kickoff calls with all of our new members to let them know, hey, who are your contacts? And then to give your contacts our information. Does that make sense?
It does, but it makes me wonder how long does all of that, if you want some help quickly, how quickly does it happen?
We come within 12 hours and we've rescued people, even faster than that. I say 12 hours just to add a bit of a buffer if it's on a holiday or yes, but at this point it's me and I've got another physical therapist that are the advocates. As we continue to grow this program out, I'll have more social workers on staff.
Can I ask a question on top of that?
Anything.
Do you need to have some kind of sign off that you are allowed to discuss the healthcare?
Yeah, good question. So
that's a real big question.
Good question. Part of our membership form, once you sign up, in there is an agreement that states you sign off as a potential or a member that you allow us to be your patient advocate. At this point, we bring that agreement, whether it's on our phone or a paper copy, to the hospital with us. Not once has a hospital administrative person ever questioned beyond, let me see that. So we have any rights. So some of our members want us to be able to speak to the physicians. Others say, hey, if the physician comes in, why don't you walk out? But so we listen to whatever the members' goals and ideas are.
So you also would help navigate the red tape, paperwork, all of that kind of stuff that the loved one maybe wants to focus on.
That's right. That's right. So I encourage, even if you're married, even if you have kids in the area, I highly encourage people to sign up for this program because you may or may not be an expert in navigating through this hospital maze or this healthcare maze. What I have found is, and I don't mean to be so negative toward the hospital, but they are a business first and a healthcare institution second. And so we help people understand their Medicare rights when they're in the hospital, make sure that person is well cared for, gets to the right skilled nursing facility if they need that. And then from skilled nursing, we help that person land safely back at home or wherever else they need to go by bringing in a group like Aaron's company or a home modification company or finding the right assisted living community. Bringing in real estate agents like Rick and Kim. So this is a very complementary team.
No, good.
Can we see him?
Oh,
Oh, I see it. That's
Somebody, somebody on the Zoom.
Unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, she has those hands.
they might not have their microphone
Oh,
on.
it's either Linda or.
Okay.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
What if you don't have a trust, you just have a will?
Well, the difference is, and I'll answer that because our attorney's not here. Oh, basically a trust, and there's certain delineations of if you'd even bother to have a trust, but if you have just a will, then that means that after you pass, it goes to the state for probate. And it goes through the whole state probate system, as opposed to a trust would just be is made in such a way that the beneficiaries would not have to go through the California probate code.
So it can't just happen what the will says?
No.
No? Oh,
No.
so how long would it take to go through the?
Probate?
Mhm.
Year at least.
It's looking like 2 years, and then the probate attorney makes lots of money.
So if you,
Yes, there's a cost, and there's very few probate judges in San Diego, so that's why it takes, you're looking at least 2 years.
so if you have an executor, they can't do anything?
Well, no, they
Well-
can execute your will, but they
Yeah.
still have to go through the probate court to handle the execution of the will.
Do you have a home? Is that what you're at? Is that why?
No,
you're
I
asking?
don't have a home anymore.
Yeah,
No.
so,
Okay.
But I
Sometimes
have,
that's where you need to talk with an attorney and find out what would be the best, solution for you. There's usually a monetary level that they take a look at that you might want to consider doing a trust. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, good. We're gonna do-
Yeah. Alan.
Thank you. My spouse was hospitalized several times, and I always stayed in the hospital or in the rehab home with her. And the reason was many of the issues you've mentioned, but the primary issue was just getting the staff, a nurse, into a room to follow up on one of the aides saying, oh, she needs her medication. And frankly, if I hadn't been there, there's an awful lot that would not have happened, or it would have not happened for some time. That was the main reason for my always staying with her. I just slept there overnight and that type of thing. That's very time consuming. Wasn't for me because it was my spouse, but how much of that can you do?
Good question. I'm so sorry for all you and your wife went through. Nothing replaces an amazing husband like you. We can't sleep there overnight or spend the vast majority of the day. If someone is hospitalized and they're a member, we pledge to go at least 30 minutes to an hour every day that person's in the hospital. And so we can't be there 12 plus hours a day, but
Yeah.
it is far better than nothing. Plus we are the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. And so I know exactly who to go to in the hospital to get what's needed.
Yeah. Or simple things like the meal being delivered, things like that.
That's exactly it. Or, getting some water or a blanket. These small things make a big difference.
But I also notice if there's someone there asking for those things, someone is paying attention to that room and going in repeatedly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If there's someone in a hospital room or a rehab room asking those questions, then the entire staff is well aware that someone's there and they're there.
That's
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a.
Yeah.
She has 12 patients. She has 12 patients in her care. 5 minutes each hour per patient, no matter whether it's wound care, IVs, medication, water, blanket, and some people require a lot more care than others. This is everywhere. This just isn't in Colorado. There are people dying in these hospitals because they cannot get the care. And your company is a very good one, but you're only there for 30 minutes. And the minute you leave, you're out of sight, out of mind. And it's hard.
It is getting harder. It's best to prepare as much as you can ahead of time.
It is. It's definitely to prepare, and to have somebody with you is great. But let's face it, I'm by myself. Nobody's going to sit with me all day. I've got 2 daughters that both work, and not out of fun, out of necessity. So it is a concern, and we need to take that into consideration. And also the way that the patient treats the nurse is how the nurse responds to the patient. That's,
Good point.
I mean, a thank you, a please is so much appreciated. I mean, these nurses are called filthy names. They see filthy things. I mean, I have heard stories that I have never heard in my 70+ years of life of what a visitor will come in and do to a patient to get attention.
Unfortunate. I do have a question for Rick and Kim that might share some information for you all. I remember Kim, sorry. I remember a client that I ended up working with them, and they worked with them first. And so can you expand on, if somebody has a home and a lot of people want to stay in the home, how do you take, and they come to you and say, okay, I may want to sell my home, I may not. Is there any kind of thing that you take them through to give them all the alternatives of stay your home, sell your home, and here's what you could do after? I remember the experience I had with the client because, God love him, his wife had a stroke, so they had to sell their home in Escondido. And then I was called in because he goes, I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know what to do with my money once Rick and Kim get finished. And so, but it was a great experience because the 3 of us and the relocation or the assisted living person, the 3 of us worked with this one client, and it all started with you. So how does your HEART program work?
Well, basically, we Kim and I come into the home and evaluate. Is it a 2-story home where you're only using half the home? The upstairs not even being used. Is it becoming run down because you aren't maintaining it? Is the yard not being maintained because you can't go out there and mow the lawn and you don't feel like paying someone to do it? I mean, those are all aspects that we look at. Then if we determine that they cannot stay in the home and they need to, relocate or be placed into an assisted care facility or something like that, at that point we go through and we evaluate the home's value in its present condition, and then we determine whether the client has money or wants to put forth money in order to upgrade the home to a point where they can get top dollar for the home. So those are all things that we run through, and it's always up to the client as to what they want to do. But is it a situation where they have to move quickly? Like this is a situation. He had a stroke, and they were like, we need to go. So at that point, what we did is we hired some painters to come in and just kind of lipstick on it, make it look great, and we put it on the market and sold it quickly. So that's kind of, is that what you're?
Yeah, and then they moved into an assisted living. She unfortunately passed a couple years down the line, but then how we worked with that client was I worked with him, and then I wasn't his trustee or anything, but he hired me to work with him on his financial basis. I put him in touch with the financial planning. We did a whole goal setting, and he saw that, I may have to move out of this assisted living and do budgetary work, but at least we gave him concrete information so he could make decisions after, because his house was his last big asset that would carry him through. So there are ways to plan ahead too, so that you don't have to worry, if things happen at last minute, whether you're by yourself or whatever. Yeah.
Hi, I'm on Zoom and I have a question, please.
Hi, Linda. We hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, my question I think is towards Jonathan. I've heard of some care facilities now that are asking for like $1 million buy-in. Is that a new trend in care, assisted care?
Hi, Linda, and I'm sure other people have the same question. There are many different financial models to these retirement communities. You can buy a home in a 55 plus community using Rick and Kim. You own real estate. The other is a month to month rental where there is little to no buy-in fee, where you're renting an apartment in a independent or assisted living retirement community. And then there's something called a buy-in or a CCRC. There are a handful of those in communities here in San Diego County. I think the closest one is called the Glen. Has anyone heard of that one? And
yes,
it's very nice. The Glen, there's La Costa Glen, the V. I can give you the list of all the other ones. They are expensive. And so you have to check that community out, get an understanding financially, if it makes sense for you. They are nice options. Those continuing care retirement communities, the intention is it serves as somewhat of a long-term care insurance in that regard. If someone moves in as an independent living person and puts that $1 million down payment down, they still have to pay a monthly rent at that community. But if one day in the future they need assisted care or they need memory care, they can live on that same campus and not have to pay a higher monthly rent. So that's what that buy-in serves as. Talk to a financial advisor. My opinion is I don't think they're tremendous financial deals, but not every decision we make is what's the best decision financially. These are really nice properties. I think, Linda, your question was, is this the future trend? There's not that many. The vast majority of these senior living properties are month to month. But
do you see that the care in those kind of places are better than the average care? And then I have one follow-on question. Well, I'll just throw it out there now. Do most places allow people to either vape in their room or have, having a smoking section, or do cannabis or gummies, that kind of stuff, or they don't allow that?
Oh, I love it. Great questions. So I'll answer the first one, which was
Quality care.
Quality of care. So these buy-in communities, those CCRC communities I mentioned, these are high-end properties, and the expectation of the resident and then their family is to deliver extremely high quality care. Every community, whether it's a buy-in or not, month to month, they're regulated by the Department of Social Service. So there are standard qualities in terms of cleanliness and caregiving ratios that every community has to adhere to. Just on my observation, I do think any higher end community, not always, but generally does provide a slightly higher tier of quality care and service. In terms of the vaping, it reminds me of my college days. I went to school in Indiana. You had to stuff a towel underneath the door. In my understanding is in California, it is still not legal to do that in a community. I know many, at least the smoking aspect, I know many residents still do it secretly, privately, just like they're in college. Every community has a designated smoking area, but that's for other things other than cannabis. In terms of edibles or gummies, I imagine that's probably a lot easier to get away with. I honestly don't know if doctors or communities are okay with that, even with a prescription. I'm not sure. I'll look into that.
Okay. We have any?
Go ahead, Linda. Did you have a follow-up?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
I think you had a question first, and then I just wanted to say something about an experience that my brother had.
He took care of everything. He sold his house, moved into a smaller apartment, and preparing for his passing. And when he sold he had a trust. And when he sold his house, he put the money in a high interest bearing account, not the trust. So all the things that he wrote in his will that he wanted done, money given to people, did not occur because there was no money in there. It was in his high interest bearing account. So check with your attorney if you do something like that. Did you have a question?
Yes, Jonathan, on the Glen, for example, what happens if the company goes bankrupt?
That's a great question. So that's the question as you do your financial review and audit of any community. That's a question to ask them. And I know that many communities across the country during the great financial crisis, now almost 20 years ago, had a dilemma there. I'm pretty sure that they are insured for that type of situation. But you'll have to ask a community specifically. I'm not sure what the Glenn's policy is.
Okay, I'd like to try. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jonathan, I just wanted to know, when one of us goes to the hospital, how do you get contacted? Does the hospital contact you, or do one of our friends, relatives have to contact you?
Good question. So I encourage everyone, whether you're a member of the hospital advocacy program or not, to have emergency contacts on the back of your front door or prominently displayed, and or on your refrigerator. For our members, if let's say there's an emergency in the house, first responders will know to call us. In addition, we are about to create little driver's license cards, or cards that say, call partner in aging in case of an emergency. If the member doesn't have all the emergency contact list or the wallet, credit card, their families are instructed to call us by our member. Does that make sense?
Is there another question? Because I'd like to do a little something. Oh,
Okay.
Alan? Oh.
Here.
I just want to put an add on. One of the most frequent complaints I've heard about the buy-ins is that after you're in, if you decide for any reason you want to move, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, that's, I'll just leave it at, that's one of the reasons why you have to be very confident to know you want to move to a buy-in, because it is much more difficult to leave once you move in there.
That's for the buy-in. Okay.
Exactly like a timeshare.
Okay, so just so you can get some more information, what I'd like to do is have Sandra and then Aaron and Pamela and Kim give you an idea of, if you want to work with them, what kind of things you would need to get ready to plan. And what some of the things, just briefly, what some of the things that you could, let them know to inform them of how to work with the three other episodes.
Oh, okay. Well, with me, like I said, I do your long-term care review, and I would just need to see a copy of your policy. I sit down with you, try and figure out what questions you might have to ask. Let's just say we have questions to ask the company. We call the company together. You give permission for them to talk to me while we're there talking, and I help you ask the questions so you know what answers you need. If there's some gaps in your policy, I'm happy to just sit down and explain the gaps, and you can move forward whatever. I am not a pushy person. Some people don't have adequate life insurance, so that's another area I help with. Some people want to look at their Medicare plans. If you're on, let's say, a plan F or G or N, those are all standard across the board with every single company, but every single company has a different premium. Or maybe you haven't heard from your agent in 5-10 years, and which I have read across that. That's another way I help, because I'm here locally and everybody gets my cell phone number. And then it's
review,
it's basically just a review. That's what I help people with. So we just need to call me and set up the time, and whatever your needs are, I'm happy to help.
And the reason I asked her to give you some information is because a lot of these companies are leaving that were long-term care policies. A lot of them have changed. You would get a letter that says, well, you can continue this, but it may be this, or you can stay at this. And so it might be just like your trust, a good idea to, have it reviewed like anything else so you know where you stand. A friend of mine was given a letter and she called me and she said, what does this compounding interest mean as opposed to this other? I said, I actually have no idea. You need to call your agent. It's just different ways that they're trying to make it work for them too, because the long-term care, I never gave my policy up, but they have changed a bit. So you might want to take a look at that.
You call us or we call you?
Well,
I
I don't know if you need help until you call me, but you can call me,
You can check off that little
or check off on the box that you want me to contact you, and I will contact you.
Okay.
So we've talked about staying in your home. A lot of people want to stay in your home. I've worked with several clients that have gone into different assisted living facilities, and you can do that. I've also had in the assisted living facility, one thing I would like to point out is they don't have enough staff if you need 24-hour care. So this is where these guys would come in, and at your assisted living or independent living or whatever, you would still might want to know what they do, because the assisted living place, even the ones you go into the Glen, do not have that kind of staff to do 24 hours. So tell us a little bit about how you work with clients.
So we provide caregivers in people's homes or at assisted living communities, and we can provide the activities of daily living sort of support. So showers, cooking, light housekeeping, personal grooming, transportation, errand running. So we can provide that kind of thing. And our minimum hours, like we can have as short a shift as 6 hours, or we can have somebody in the home 24 hours a day. So that's the kind of thing that that's the kind of service that we provide. But as far as thinking in the future, or when you might want to start considering when caregivers might be necessary, if you do have a long-term care insurance policy and you know that you do, I do encourage you getting it reviewed to see how your particular policy works. Because if you have a policy, most policies will have some sort of a deductible period, and it will work different for every policy. So some people kind of hold on to their policy insurance and kind of hoard it for when they absolutely, absolutely need it. And they don't understand that they still have to pay privately for up to 90 days or however it's structured. And then they're on the hook for paying out of pocket for 24-hour care when they could have possibly just done 4 hours a day, to run down that deductible period. So that's something that, to keep in mind when you're considering when it's time to utilize your long-term care insurance to put towards home care. So that's my little piece of advice. And another thing I would also like to say is that people think of caregiving, when the person receiving the care needs it. But for a lot of us, we take care of our loved ones, our spouses, our parents. And the caregiving at home that takes place is also for the caregivers that are at home so that they can get a break as well. So that's also something, because the longer you can sustain your health and don't burn out, then the longer you can also be there at full capacity for the person that you're caring for. So that's kind of where we are at with caregiving. I'm going to pass it on to Aaron.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think also when you're thinking about when to look, I mean, these are major decisions for your life. I see a lot of people making them very quickly, last minute in the skilled nursing facility. You gotta go. I would say it's usually even not even either or assisted living or home care. Many times it's a combination of both that people will use in their life. A lot of people start out with home care, or even while they're looking for an assisted living, we help people, 8 hours a day. That's a good in their budget at home. And then maybe they need 24-hour care. We just moved a client that we've had for years into an assisted living, but then we also had the time to look and help, able to get in the right one. We work with people like Jonathan all the time. It's really of how to utilize us best. And I've had many clients, well, not as many as I think there should be, that call me, interview us, put us down as the name, check in from time to time, but say you'll be the one when I call. So even if it's 2, 3 years later, that's fine. But they have the peace of mind that when they go, they're not making these decisions under extreme stress. They're really making some decisions of this is who I'm going to call when, and maybe they will, maybe they won't. But yeah, we had one guy from Tierrasanta that called like 2 or 3 years later, but we kept him also on our roster, so we knew, and that's something he felt a lot more comfortable with. So you
And
can always call. It's free.
I mentioned incapacitation. That could be that short-term time that you have the resource to get some additional help. So let's just talk to Kim, who handles when the event happens.
Everybody loves talking.
I do have to say that there are some really cool ways that you can end your life with a bang. And somebody told me that you can even be a diamond. I thought, I'd like to be, turn into a diamond. That would be really cool.
You can actually send ashes out to space as well.
Yeah,
I've seen one of those, yeah. So as I mentioned, I work for Dignity Memorial. So it's part of SCI, which is the largest funeral home in Northern America. They run we're in 45 states. Everything that we help people to attain is transferable. A lot of people don't know that. So a lot of people will put off pre-planning because they're thinking they might move someday. They might follow their children somewhere. It is all transferable. So any funeral plan you purchase with SCI is transferable within the company's Dignity brands. But as you talk about waiting to the last minute for pre-planning, it's just not the way to do it. We receive phone calls all the time. People wanting to purchase cemetery property, let's say, and they're like, on the phone, what are your prices? Well, it's like calling a Hyundai dealership and asking them how much their cars cost, which car would you like? So point being is that if you not everybody needs cemetery, right? But we all need a funeral plan. And some people go, well, I'm just cremation and just, throw me, whatever. That's still a funeral plan. So each one of us needs a funeral plan, and it's always better to get informed first because it really is information. There's a lot of companies out there that do cremation. Our company owns and operates our own crematory. I think that's a big deal. I know where you're at all times. We have one, yeah, right. And we have one care center and one crematory. So we know where you're at all times. So there are some differences in quality of the care. And the reason why my mom wanted me to pre-plan so long ago is because she knew that someday she was going to be passing away. And she wanted to make sure that I had the peace of mind that I knew who I was going to be calling at the time. Of the toughest time of my life, really. And I was there to help her because I knew what was the next step, who I was going to call. And that's really what pre-planning is all about, is giving your family a peace of mind. Yeah. Yes.
So you buy it today,
Mhm.
have to be 10 years.
Yeah.
What happens? Price?
Exact same. Yeah. No, exact same plan. Yeah. Whether it's traditional funeral plans or cremation, it doesn't matter. You're locking in the prices for today. In fact, when it comes to funeral plans, the money is held with an insurance company. So they are insured products with our company. They're not trusts. If you go to a small mom and pop, they can close their doors. You're going to be out of luck. So back in the day, the insurance companies got involved for this exact reason, to protect the consumer's money. So when you walk into our funeral homes, the money is actually held with an insurance company. They hold it until the person passes away, and then the funeral home receives the money at that time. Obviously, they're going to invest the money to help raise the value because of inflation, but that's just, the cost of doing business. However, if one of our, because we have only 3 cemeteries here, but one of our funeral homes were to close, the next one's just going to be the one to help you. So I'm telling you, SCI is one of the best companies here, hands down, in San Diego. I really love them. Well, so I actually sit in Glen Abbey. I come here by choice because I really do like helping inform people, answering questions. So my office is at Glen Abbey and down in Bonita, but I've done several of these events and I've gone to all of our funeral homes to help people. Just depends on what they need, where they want to have their services.
Would you come and talk to her at her
Yeah,
home?
I can go. Absolutely. I go to people's homes. No problem. Yeah, absolutely. It just depends on what your needs are. We can do a lot of things. Just getting some information over the phone is really half the battle. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this always comes up, right? Thank you for bringing that up. One thing I've noticed, I'll talk to some elderly men and I'll be like, what about you? You have everything situated? Yeah, no, I'm good. The military's got me. I'm like, oh, yeah, so you can go to Miramar at no charge if you'd like to be laid to rest there, you and your spouse, no problem. What about your funeral plan? So, well, no, they take care of all of that. No, they don't. So a lot of people don't realize that. And it's always been so surprising to me that military personnel are very aware where they can go be laid to rest, Rosecrans, Miramar, but they do not understand that they don't do embalming, they don't do cremation. You have to have a funeral home in order to, bring you into our care, and then we coordinate with Miramar to do the placement. Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Also, when you all were talking about the home care, there is, for people who are in the military, there is a community home care program.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for military personnel. So we
Yeah.
can give you some information on that as well. That helps offset some of the costs.
And I will say that I noticed someone who said, I don't have anyone. That happens a lot. I'll meet with people who don't have any next of kin, maybe local. A fiduciary is perfect for something like that. So fiduciary is who's going to be your contact when the person passes away. We do deal with fiduciaries all the time. They'll come in and just do the paperwork needed for whatever it is the person had requested.
I'm trying to figure out how a fiduciary and a financial planner might work together.
How a fiduciary and financial planner work
Yeah,
together?
Right.
That's a good question. A lot of times you will hear financial planners saying that they are fiduciaries, like Fisher Investments or whatever. It depends. Some are, and some still have to sell their company product. So that's where it differs a lot with the fiduciary, because a fiduciary is there for your needs. And what we do is I can do a lot of the front end work to get the information together that then would pass over to a financial planner. So they put it in, they run the numbers, or they do the goal package. A perfect example is the gentleman that they sold his house, and he was with Stifel, I think. And in the first year, guy never contacted him. He kind of managed his own things, but he didn't really know what he was doing. And so I brought in a financial planner to work with him to just oversee his investments, to see what Stifel. We didn't move him, but he was able to take a look at it and say, okay, I would make this suggestion, I would make that suggestion, but he didn't sign him on as his financial planner. Unfortunately, that gentleman had a stroke at a very young age. And so I have a lot of resources. I've been around a long time in San Diego, but I moved him to another financial planning firm. And basically what we did was they said, okay, here's what we need from him in order to do the goal planning and see how far his money is going to work. So I worked with the client, got all of his information. He's still very independent and does a lot of his own, financial working and banking. So we got all that information together. I went to his meetings with his financial planning team. I gave them the background of what he really lives on, what he needs, what he might be doing. So they were a lot more informed to put a good goal planning investment plan together for him. So when we eventually moved the Stifel investments over to this new firm, they of course completely reworked it. They took their time and they meet with him once a quarter. They meet with all their clients once a quarter and do a follow-up. They take a look at their investments every 6 months and recalculate them. So he sat there and he felt a lot more comfortable because he had a team there that was taking care of his money, but I did a lot of the back end work to submit to the financial planning. That saved him a lot of time.
I have a question, which I probably can't even formulate, but you mentioned military aid and attendance. So my father looked into that, and it was based on income. So first question, where do you go to find out about in San Diego? He was in San Diego, aid and attendance assistance or home care, whatever, and whether or not you would benefit from that.
Attendance, I don't do aid and attendance, but it's in the brochure. She's in the brochure. Oh. Sorry. Candace's name is in the brochure. She does aid and attendance. She's not here today, unfortunately, but she helps with that as well and coordinates with home care as well.
And quickly on home care, the caregiver that comes in to help, and you said it could be 6 hours or 20. Is the hourly rate standard? Or I don't mean standard. Does it change depending on what kind of help they need to do?
So again, there also are several financial models, so I could speak for ours. For ours, it's mostly the going rate around is probably high 30s, low 40s. It's pretty much around the going rate for most companies an hour. Yeah. We go basically on shift length because 6 to 9 hours is kind of the best sweet spot for the caregivers. That's what they like. If we do a little less, we'll charge a little more, but it's a little more about the transportation. And then also after 9 hours, if it's a 12-hour shift, it's overtime. But it's only
Do you have
a little
overtime
bit.
for holidays and weekends?
Yes, and it's usually time and a half. We do put in, if it's advanced care, we have 3 levels of care, and a lot are like this, where it's more just errand care. You know, you're able to walk, but maybe not drive. The second is just the lifting and transferring where you need partial assistance. And then if you need full assistance, like Hoyer lift or you can't stand, we actually do a lot of people in their home where we're really lifting them out of bed. And we have a higher skilled caregiver for that. That's a couple dollars extra. But it really varies across some agencies. Some charge if it's 2 4-hour shifts, they might charge a fee in the middle. So it's another thing you don't call and just ask, what's the hourly rate? There are some companies that have add-on. We don't, but add-ons for showers or add-ons for this. So everyone has an hourly rate, but I would ask.
Seen.
Yeah,
And they are usually a little bit more because they're harder to fill a 4-hour shift.
exactly. So
I have a question for that. I thought Medicare paid for home care.
no. The misconception, they don't, yeah.
I live in a senior apartments and there are ladies there that get home care, but I never asked them who took care of them, but.
That's you, page 56. It says long-term care.
Yeah, but yeah, no, Kim just asked, do we need to go to the do they need to go to care facilities? Oh, I mean, a lot of care facilities also don't provide the one-on-one care. That's where sometimes we are hired in the facility. Sometimes they offer your own, you can hire on top of what you're paying there. But it's all out of pocket or long-term care insurance. So we bill long-term care insurance and provide the notes. We
might be confused that Medicare, if they send you to a facility, then they pay for the care.
Yeah.
20 days.
Huh?
Only 20 days.
20 days, right?
But you have to qualify, and qualifying means that your doctor says that you're getting better. If you're not going to be getting better, Medicare doesn't pay that in 20 days.
Does anybody else have any other questions for us that you can think of? Okay, yes.
I asked this question because I have a relative's relative who is getting care through a state program based on income. What's that? Medi-Cal? Medi-Cal, or is there such a thing as that does
Medi-Cal?
Medi-Cal? That's based on having no more than $2,000 or something.
Sandy would know that one.
Right. So there are programs. Every state is actually a federal program that's run by every state. It's Medicaid. California just has to be cute and call it Medi-Cal. But so some people you'll hear there are Medi means there are Medi-Cal and Medicare. But it is for lower income people. So you might hear PACE programs, or you might see those trucks. Those are state run programs that for low income people.
And then I also wanted to add home care services and home services for caregiving. That's not covered. They do have discounted rates through in-home support services. I think that's through the San Diego Port Authority.
A couple things. So if you happen to be in a situation where you're talking about assets, right? Not being able to have enough assets. So some people think that a funeral plan is actually an asset because you can cancel it, and therefore it becomes a cash value. So if it's something that you've been avoiding doing that because of that reason, you can actually purchase a funeral plan and just let us know, and we'll make it irrevocable yes, meaning that it's non-cancelable. So therefore, it's not considered an asset. And the other thing I want to say about these two here is, when I was getting to know them better, I've had a decent amount of experience with in-home care and dealing with different nurses and stuff. And I remember asking them about, the quality of the actual workers, and they know all of their workers. And I think that's a big deal. They know all the employees and everybody that they work with. And therefore, it probably helps you a lot with matching people as well. But I think that's a big deal. It's not just a service that they're offering, it's the people that they represent as well. So, yeah.
I have one question for Rick and Kim. Can you explain what senior certified real estate is as an agent? That's a special certification you have, right?
Oh, SRES?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that is a certification that you go through, or that we go through. It's put on by the National Association of Realtors. And it's a full course that we have to go through, take tests, read books, all of that. And just, it walks us through how to talk to seniors and all the benefits that we can offer to seniors as far as guiding them to assisted living and to placement services and all of that. It doesn't talk about protecting in any way. That's why we started HARP, because the National Association of Realtors doesn't even discuss protecting seniors and all the scams that are involved. I mean, I had mentioned the scam with the investors. There's many scams. And in your booklet there, I actually created a book, and I'm offering it for free. You just go onto the website and you can download it, and it's protecting seniors from scams, and it's in there. But that's really, that's what we're about, is protecting them from all the scam. And you'd be surprised, there's family members that scam their own family. And there's a section in there in regards to that. There's realtors that will scam people. I just want to say, if you're these realtors that advertise out there that say, "Hey, we sold your house in one day," it wasn't on the market long enough. I mean, come on. You should have your house on the market at least for 2 weeks and get multiple offers and let people outbid themselves, and you counter offer. And that's how you get the highest dollar. Selling your house in one day sounds great, but you're losing money. I mean, you are. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
So did you all fill out your raffle entry fee?
Yeah.
You want to fold them over, and I will hand it over to Kim. Does anybody have any more questions for us?
yeah.
We really have appreciated coming. We are a vast amount of resources. We also know other resources, but one thing is, if you do work with us, we do vet the people that we would refer you to. And we do make sure that they are going to do what they say they're going to do.
Oh, it's right here. And yeah. Remember my name. Yeah. Yeah. A little bit later. Yeah. But I got
All set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, right. Well, we're about to try.
Okay, we're gonna have our drawing now. I'll draw for you.
Sorry, yeah. I'm trying to figure out where to put them, because they're kind of, there you go.
Just on here. I won't look.
They're right. So
Yeah,
I'm folded this way. I was gonna fold them that way.
Okay, so we have some Subway, we've got a theater, we've got, I don't know what this is. And
Okay. I can't see it.
so the first one goes to,
We should probably get everybody.
there you go, Kim, you want to announce it?
Sure. Okay. What's the prize?
Starbucks card.
Starbucks card. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you a mic.
No, it shouldn't.
Oh, this is a mic, is it not?
Yeah, this is a mic. Okay, show you the Starbucks card.
It's gonna be Alan Rappaport. Is that Alan over here? That's so funny. He said this is a winning one when he had it to me. He sure did. funny. Is that what he told me? Like, he's like, this is the winning one. We know nobody. Okay, next one. Here you go, Kim. Yeah, okay. Okay, for Jay Keys. Jay Keys. Love that name. Jay. Hold on. Don't be peeking. Don't be peeking. Okay. No. Sure. This is not rigged, I swear. Diamond Keys. Diamond Keys. I mixed them very well. Do we have any more? Do we have any more? Okay, all right, now one more. Okay. You have more, okay, go. Yeah, well, there's two more, there's two more. Okay, perfect. This is, it's a mystery one. The mystery card. It's gonna be Roberts. Roberts. So Ron Roberts here? Oh, there you go. New card. Also, so. Oh, you're okay. Okay, two more prizes. Wait a minute, get some on top. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, Edna. Oh, my goodness. How do you pronounce your last name? Fraunfelter. Okay. I love going to movies. Yeah. You want to go? I just did the membership thing because we go every week. I swear. Yeah. Right? Why not? It's so entertaining. You see the. Yes, of course. I went for Brad Pitt. Yeah, it was very entertaining. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Bev Clay McNamara. McNamara. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much fun. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity.